This nibble originally aired on RSBANDB Update, episode 840. Kerapac, the boss for all. Enjoy.
The staff alone, upgrading from a tier 92 to a tier 93, tier 95, sorry, you get about 3% extra damage. The special attack is a lot and is also very much in flux, so I'm not quite sure where to put that. If we put that aside for now, this is by far, unquestionably, without a shadow of a doubt, several times the largest increase, the largest buff to combat of any of the things at this drop.
And you're talking Greater Concentrated Blast currently.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So
now let me just read on the tin of what it does compared to regular Concentrated Blast.
And then I'll do the under the hood.
70 to 290 total ability damage over 1.8 seconds, up from 48 to 246% over 2.4 seconds. And for every channeled hit, gain 5% critical strike chance on your next ability.
Right. And at first blush, that sounds okay. We get an average of 33% weapon damage when we use this ability. Okay. The hidden thing about this that is incredibly important is that one tick less time frame.
Yep.
And here's so the way that this works. Firstly, it is still a channeled ability, and like most channeled abilities in the game, when you finish the ability, unless you immediately attack the boss, or you are on full manual, or you queue another ability to fire, you will have a 1-tick gap. And again, people are saying 0.6 seconds, what's the huge deal for that? The issue is that in every other ranged or every other ability rotation, magic and ranged included, usually the second ability on your bar, give or take, first 3, is the 5-second channeled ability because the 5-second ability because it does good damage. Almost all of them do consistent good damage. They allow you to have a consistent rotation for your basics. It's that way on most of the Revo bars. The exception to that has always been magic, and that's because of the way that Concentrated Blast worked before, the lesser Concentrated Blast. The global ability cooldown is 1.8 seconds. So having an ability that lasts for 2.4 seconds means that you either cancel by firing off another ability early, by manually doing that, and you miss the last hit, which is the largest hit, and that extra 15% then critical strike chance on your next attack. You skip that by just going to your next ability, or you take that extra hit and you slow your rotation down. And if you're using Revolution, you get an extra tick of pause afterwards because it's channeled ability, and this is suddenly a 3-second ability when most abilities are 1.8 seconds. What that means is you're getting a 1.2 second gap where you're only doing that third hit of this ability. And that damage is very low for that amount of time. So Concentrated Blast was a bad choice. It was not a good ability, and it was much farther down in these bars than every other 5-second ability has been. And you could use it as manual, and you could kind of cancel it. You could choose if you wanted to let it last for 3 ticks or 4 ticks, or just let Revo fire it every 5th tick. But because it's such a low cooldown, and it should be so integral in rotation, this is something we use up to 12 times a minute. Realistically, it's 9-tick cooldown, 3 to 5 tick ability. Like, you're using this for a 40% of your rotation sometimes. It's a super integral part of the magic rotation. And so what they've done is they've said this ability suddenly does 10 to 15% more damage when you use it. So it's already 40% of your ability rotation. Oh, hey, well, now your 40% of your ability rotation is now doing 15% more damage. That's big. And then even on top of that, they're making that 1 tick shorter. So it's still a channeled ability. So it's 3 damage ticks if you apply next ability right afterward, which is right on your global cooldown. You don't miss that third hit anymore. Or if you wait that 4th tick, you're just running full Revolution, it only takes 80% as long to fire. And so you're gaining, if you're using it 10 times, you're putting it at the front of your ability bar where it should be. You're gaining 10 ticks back every minute, which a minute is 100 ticks. That's just 10% more damage on top of the 15% more damage that it does. And again, the numbers on that don't quite math out that way. But needless to say, this is, if magic was 20% damage behind range, this is a lot to make up for that, and people are not paying attention to it.
So you're saying that with this, you could probably bring magic up to the point where ranged is. And does that factor in with...
No, not alone.
Okay.
Not alone. Absolutely not. I think with the other updates that have come, if you're using the new staff and the special attack gets fixed so that it does more than it currently does, but less than it was doing on Monday, I would say yes. And that's my argument for this, is that Concentrated Blast, you use it so much and it's such an integral part of most people's rotations, that having it buffed on such a low cooldown is huge. And so people are sleeping on this. And I think the other thing to consider, and this is true, is that you're now doing 3 hits in 1.8 seconds instead of 2 hits for most people who are caring about the number of things they're applying. And this is now becoming a GRICO situation where Greater Ricochet, every 10 seconds you apply 7 hits. This is every 5 seconds you apply 3 hits. And if we do the math on that, oh yeah, it's about the same. So if you're using something like the Blood Reaver, where the number of times you hit the boss can each apply poison, this is in that ballpark now, where before ranged was like, I'm going to hit the boss 80 times in a minute, whereas Magic is hitting the boss 40 times. Magic is now hitting the boss 70 times in a minute. And that's a lot, and that will do a lot of damage.
How does it work with stacks from the new spells? Do you get 3 stacks? I believe you should, because channeled abilities for range will give you a stack of they apply Bacchanal Bolts on hits, apply on channeled ability hits. I'm gonna go try it on a dummy real quick.
I believe you do. I did some runs with Kerapac today earlier, and I bought this last night, and I was just racking up those rack stacks. I am fairly certain that that it will give you 3 full stacks of that in a single global cooldown every 3 seconds, and each of those can apply poison damage, which 20% chance with Cinderbanes means you've got 24% ability damage just in poison damage. Like, there's a lot of things that add on top of this stack after stack after stack that, like, there's 2 ways that damage is increased in the game. It's a flat damage increase, like your skirmishes that say you now just do 6% more damage, have fun. And then there's these, like, insidious, every time you hit something, you apply 8% ability damage. You apply 5% ability damage. Like, with the Reaver, with the Blood Reaver, oh, you're going to hit the boss again. So what I'm getting
here is that it's just like with the Emerald Bolt discussion, it's not a matter of itself being that far ahead. It's just when you factor it in with everything else we have and everything we've been doing, it really starts to add up.
I tested it on a dummy. It does give you 3 stacks.
Yeah. So it's giving you additional stacks of Exsanguinate, which is 1% additional ability power. It gives you cheaper, all the new spell effects. Like, this does for Magic. This puts Magic in a very similar ability hits on a target per minute as ranged.
But the problem is that those don't give you free adrenaline for dumping overpowered special attacks.
Hydrix. The problem is that
it's literally Hydrix bolts.
It's literally Hydrix bolts are just the most overpowered thing on the planet, and they interact with the UFs nicely. But for the average person, if you're ignoring, if Hydrix bolts are still too expensive to use, which they maybe won't be, but this Hydrix bolts aside probably brings Magic. It does a lot to close the gap. This ability alone does a lot to close the gap, and I really think people are sleeping on it because of it.
You can find full episodes of RSBANDB Update right here on this YouTube channel. If you found this video useful or just enjoyed it, like and subscribe, or leave a comment.